Our guest today is Professor Kevin Gallagher. Kevin is a colleague here at the Pardee School of Global Studies at Boston University. He is also the director of the Global Development Policy Center here. And I'm going to ask him what he thinks the future of economic multilateralism might look like in a post-COVID world.
I think my key message is that we're really at a crossroads in global economic history right now, and we really have to choose whether or not we're going to learn from history or repeat it. The global economic system faces what I'd call a Kindleberger trap, when one order has run out of steam, but a new one isn't quite ready to replace it. The last time this happened was 1933, when the United Kingdom tried to convene the world to put an end to the global depression at the London Monetary and Economic Conference. But Britain wasn't strong enough to steer the world away from the depression, and the United States wasn't ready and certainly wasn't willing to step in and take the helm. The result was a globalization of the world depression and World War. We don't want to repeat that history, but we're really on the brink. Both of these crises that we're in the middle of right now really call for a new global economic multilateralism, as the virus and the financial crisis can impact anyone everywhere. The United States has dismantled or discredited the World Trade Organization, the United Nations in general, and the World Health Organization in particular, and just recently vetoed efforts at the International Monetary Fund to try to support the crisis in the developing world. Asia in general, and China in particular, looks to be where the new source of leadership might rise from, but they're not ready, and many are not ready to follow them. So we face this Kindleberger trap, just like 1933.
So multilateralism wasn't doing very well before COVID. It hasn't performed spectacularly during COVID. What gives you the hope that it will rise to the occasion in a post-COVID world?
What gives me hope is that we learned from history once before, and we can do it again. Although 1933 was a disaster that globalized the Depression and led to World War, towards the end of the World War in 1944 and 1945, we had a rebirth of multilateralism in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, Dumbarton Oaks, San Francisco, that all created the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and set the seeds of the trading systems. As you said, that whole system has run out of steam, and it faces this Kindleberger trap. We need real high ambition right now to make sure that one crisis doesn't lead to another. We've already seen one crisis leading to another: COVID crisis, global financial crisis. If we're not careful, the financial crisis will lead to lots of social unrest and strife. There's been lots of inequality across the world that had already led to lots of right-wing nationalist tendencies around the world. Those are only being accentuated as the crisis impacts inequality. And of course, all of this only accentuates global climate change.
Do you think we have the institutions that we need?
Immediately, the one institution that could do the most good would be the International Monetary Fund. It has the ability, just like the Federal Reserve did, to issue what is called special drawing rights, which is their unit of account analogous to a currency. If they could issue over $1 trillion of those special drawing rights, developing countries would be able to shore up their financial systems and fight the crisis.
If the leader of a developing country in Africa, Latin America, in Asia were to pick up the phone and call you, what would you advise them that they should be doing?
What developing countries need to do in the immediate moment is to find as much fiscal space as they can possible to fight the virus and protect the vulnerable. Developing countries are getting a quadruple whammy. They are fighting the virus. Their debt is ballooning. They're also losing remittances, which many countries rely on. And what happened during the last crisis in 2008 is China sort of saved the world. It had a massive financial rescue package, and it propped up commodity prices and created all this demand for developing country exports. That's not there this time. So they really need the space to attack the virus, help the vulnerable, and think about the longer run future, which is equality, resilience, and climate justice.